It's the most controversial time of the year. Let's talk about it.
It's burning down, it's burning high. When ashes fall, the legends rise.
What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's Pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and you do see my pretty sexy face, so you know I am, in fact, alone. Yes, this is a preview. This is part of the Get Hyped series. We are going to talk about Crown Jewel, but unfortunately, I don't think any of my co-hosts are watching Crown Jewel. No interest in it. The controversy, the controversy that goes with it, all understandable. Anybody watching this video right now saying, Spaz, why are you talking about this show? So controversial. Why are you even watching it? I get that. 110%. This is not in any way, shape, or form a typical Get Hyped video. This is where I'm talking about the show that I'm going to watch because I think it's going to be ridiculous. If you are, like my co-hosts, not watching this show, you don't agree with it, you don't agree with the whole Saudi Arabia deal, whatever the case may be, I get it, 110%. I am not here to talk about the politics of the Saudi Arabia deal. Actually, if you look down in the description box below, I am going to copy in the video that Kristen and I did last year for last year's Crown Jewel, because we did have an extensive conversation about the Saudi deal and where I stand on the whole Saudi deal thing. If you want to, my opinion hasn't changed. I'm not going to defend the atrocities that have happened in Saudi Arabia. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm also here to say, at the end of the day, it's a wrestling show, so I'm going to talk about it. That's the Cole's Notes version of the video. If you want my more detailed thoughts on the Saudi Arabia deal and the international shows the WWE does in general, I am going to leave that link down in the box below. You can check that out at your leisure. But I am here to look at this show in a bubble. I'm here to look at this show the same way I would preview any other show, any other pay-per-view, any other takeover, any other show that I'm going to for Destiny. Hoping to have a lot more news to tell you guys about Destiny as well in the next coming days. But yeah, basically, I'm here to not talk about the elephant in the room. I'm here just to talk about a show because, in general, I do think these non-canon sort of gigantic house shows do serve a purpose. They are a bit of fun. The fact that they're not really connected to anything allows it to be a little bit more freewheeling. I'm not just talking about the Saudi Arabia deal. I'm talking about, in general, between this, Super Showdown in Australia, the Beast in the East they did in Japan a couple of years ago, the televised house shows that they do here in North America. I do think they're great in a way. They're great in a way because they could be a bit of fun. There could be something a bit ridiculous, New Day coming in on the magic carpet or anything like that. But also, it's not connected to anything, so you make the choice to not watch it. You're not missing anything. It's just here's some wrestling. If you want a little bit more, yes, we are all saturated with wrestling. We got, a million hours of WWE plus AEW, plus I know a lot more people are watching Impact, a lot more people are watching ROH, New Japan. New Japan's going to have this new American branch I'm hearing about. Somebody can tell me about that in the box down below, because it's not particularly my cup of tea. Plus, I'm here to shove content about Destiny wrestling in your faces just because I think that's something people need to pay attention to as well. So I am part of the problem. But the fact that WWE puts on these shows that are like, hey, if you haven't had enough wrestling, here's some more, but they're absolutely not vital, isn't the worst thing in the world, because it is a house show. People say derogatorily that these are big glorified house shows. But here's the deal. Maybe not in as many droves as they used to, but people do go to house shows. When I'm not going to the holiday tour this year just because I don't have the money for it, to be perfectly honest. But if I had the money, I'd go to the WWE holiday tour. Yeah, the last house show I was at for WWE, it kind of sucked balls. But you know what? Here's some wrestling. Take it if you want it, and that's how I'm looking at Crown Jewel. I've taken the day off work. I'm going to make sure I've got my my fridge full of Smirnoff nicely stocked. I will not be sober watching this show, because that's the type of watching environment that these shows inspire. But I mean, Shane McMahon being the best in the world, Taker and Goldberg having probably the worst match ever, the resurrected attempted resurrection of Shawn Michaels, even though he's cross-eyed and bald, and it made us all very sad. All kinds of, Braun Strowman winning that puke green belt that he won from the biggest ever Royal Rumble. You know, we haven't had that again. There's just some ridiculousness, and you guys know me, I am a fan of ridiculousness, and also, I'm kind of a fan, you guys know this about me as well, I'm a kind of a fan of things that piss people off. Again, not the legitimate, real-world political Saudi Arabia stuff, I'm not laughing at that. But people lost their shit when Shane McMahon came in and won that tournament, which was funny because they claimed they didn't care about it to begin with. People lost their shit when they did the whole Brock Lesnar Braun Strowman thing because Roman Reigns had leukemia, when the focus on that should have been, hey, doesn't it suck that Roman Reigns has leukemia? People got all super offended because it's being offended as a sport in 2019 when New Day came out on a flying carpet. But then again, people also got offended that Kofi Kingston eventually lost his WWE title. So things like that really twist people the wrong way do kind of make me laugh. I'm not going to lie. Plus, as I say, the show's trivial as a whole, but let's talk about the fun for the sake of it. And this is stuff, half of this stuff that's on this card, I don't even know what to say about, because the fact that it's not really canon and nothing will really change for the most part, it doesn't leave you much to talk about. But I will say, 20-man Battle Royal to establish a #1 contender for AJ Styles' United States Championship, a match that will happen on the same night. And I really hope they happen concurrently. I really hope we have the Battle Royal, the winner is established, AJ Styles comes and attacks them right away, and we get the title match right there. Because I doubt... There's two sides to this coin. You want to say it doesn't really matter because AJ Styles is going to retain anyways, and because that's what happens. WWE doesn't want to do anything newsworthy at the Saudi shows. They want to do the Saudi shows and move on. They're going to move on to Survivor Series. They're going to move on to all their Fox wonderfulness. They're going to move on to, you know, NXT and so on and so forth. But at the same time, the deal that they have with Saudi Arabia is for 10 years. Eventually, somebody on that part of the globe is going to say, hey, you guys are fulfilling your opportunities. You're giving us, you know, exactly what we asked for, other than Yokozuna and the Ultimate Warrior, who are dead. So they brought in a ringer for Yokozuna, and that was terrible. But they are going to realize that no groundbreaking things are ever happening on this show. So... not that AJ Styles is something to be swept under the rug, but the United States title has never really been the most prestigious title in the world. So if they want to throw them a bone, you could have the U.S. title change. Now, the Crown Jewel, the Greatest Royal Rumble, the Super Showdowns, and all that have been shows that have not stood on their own as big events, but they have perpetuated other stories. So if you have, say, Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin fighting each other and fighting each other again and fighting each other again, they could have one of those rematches at one of the Saudi Arabia shows and just get it out of the way. So it wouldn't hurt my feelings entirely if a rivalry started here. Obviously, it would go somewhere greater. It would go to a regular pay-per-view, or it would go to a regular set of TV tapings. But if a rivalry started here, and this was only the launching point, it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. And we do know who attacked AJ Styles on Raw this past week. Now, for those of you watching this, I am recording this on Saturday. What's the date today? I am recording this on Saturday the 26th. So, whatever happens this Monday on Raw, I don't know about yet. This is probably going to premiere on Tuesday. That way we have Wednesday, and then Thursday's the show. But as it stands at the moment, last Monday, Kevin Owens attacked AJ Styles. If Kevin Owens wins this Battle Royal and then gets a fluke win over AJ Styles and picks up the US title, and from there they go and have a nice feud for the United States title, that's not terrible, because the feud itself will exist after the show. It won't totally surround this particular pay-per-view. We won't have to reference this pay-per-view too much, other than to say, yeah, Kevin Owens won a Battle Royal. But it would also satiate, and I know this doesn't register on most people's radar, but when you talk about pleasing the audience of this show is in Saudi Arabia, it would throw a bone to the Saudi Arabian crowd so that they can't get on that high horse of, hey, you got to give us something more important, because then you might have a Saudi Arabia show where we start fucking with the main titles, and that's, even I will say, as neutral as I'm trying to be in this video, nobody really wants that. I mean, we could chuck around some mid-card titles, or even a tag team title per se. I mean, it won't be the women's title, will it? Ha ha ha. So, not knowing who's in this 20-man battle royal, I'm going to say probably Kevin Owens. I don't think they're going to do the surprise win that I'm talking about here, but it already seems to be where they're going, so why would they have a random, like, I don't know who, Bo Dallas win this to then get his ass kicked by AJ Styles? You know, we could give that win to Sami Zayn, except, oh wait, no, we can't. Braun Strowman taking on Tyson Fury. Now, we got this, and we got the Cain Velasquez thing to talk about later on. And I get, as much as most people don't like it, and I don't necessarily like it either, I do get what they're trying to do. They're there with Fox. Fox wants them to do a lot more real sports-related programming. We've seen the WWE Backstage show that they've done. I've seen a few clips of it. It looks kind of cool. I mean, granted, I've been watching the clips mostly of the interview with Finn Balor explaining the heel turn that happened on NXT this past week, which was amazing. But in general, they want to give this sports feel, and I know somebody can correct me down in the box below because I'm not a big UFC fan. Apparently, Fox in the States used to carry the UFC events, or at least some sort of UFC content that they lost, which is why they picked up WWE. So the idea of bringing in Cain Velasquez, the guy that beat Brock Lesnar in real life, to have a MMA rematch in a WWE context, I can see where they're coming from with that, and I can see it being interesting. The infusion of Rey Mysterio into the mix is nice in a way, because from the little bit that I've seen, Cain Velasquez ain't much of a talker. And if you got him up against Brock Lesnar, who has Paul Heyman, you need somebody to sort of counter Paul Heyman. So you injure Rey Mysterio so that he's absolutely not competing. So you put him in that manager role. On the upside, we got to see Cain Velasquez F5'd onto Dominic on SmackDown, and that was fucking brilliant. But that's the Cain Velasquez thing. But the Braun Strowman Tyson Fury thing is just like, let's get more real athletes in there. I sort of jumped ahead there to the Cain thing we'll talk about again in a second. But Braun Strowman Tyson Fury, it just sort of solidifies that he's really gone into that Big Show role. And now that Big Show role doesn't necessarily interest me, but it's no bad thing either. Big Show had the sumo match at WrestleMania. He had the Mayweather match at WrestleMania. He had all kinds of things. He was in a bunch of goofball movies. He was an attraction. And I think Braun Strowman taking a bit of that, A, it'll let us sort of let go of the Big Show, which is no bad thing, and B, it'll give him something to do so that it's not world title or nothing. And I get that. And the Tyson Fury guy, who's apparently really controversial in real life, I don't know what the controversy is about. Again, people out there that watch combat sports, boxing, etc., please tell me down in the box below what I'm missing, because I'm not going to research it. I'm not going to lie. He seems like a bit of a cocky dick, even on WWE TV. He came out to say that his kids love Braun Strowman, and he brought them there to see Braun Strowman, so clearly he starts a fight with Braun Strowman. He's a boxer. Braun Strowman's got the get these hands things. It sort of falls into place, but I don't think nobody cares, because they're not bringing in a name like they used to. Like, I don't follow boxing, but I know who Floyd Mayweather is. I don't follow UFC, but I know who Conor McGregor is. Back in the day when you had Austin versus Michaels there, I don't follow boxing, but I know who the fuck Mike Tyson is. This is falling short of that recognition. Because what is he? He's the menial weight champion or something like that of some description. I don't have anything against the guy. I don't have any reason to say that he can't be there. This does purely fall into the category of WWE trying to reach out to every single fan out there but wrestling fans, and I know there's a lot of people frustrated about that, and I'm with you on that. Do you remember when they went through like a year of like each Monday Night Raw had a separate celebrity guest host? That drove me nuts. If this is a one-off publicity stunt and then we move on, like the Mayweather thing, like the I can't think of the guy that Big Show did the sumo thing with. But if it's a one-off thing, it's a one-off attraction on this show that, as we've said a million times, doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not anything I'm excited about, but it's not anything I'm going to get myself ramped up over either. I will watch it play out for what it is. There'll probably be some humor to it, because I don't think there's going to be any humor to the other one. But, yeah, the boxer versus the get these. I think it's really funny that because he's fighting a boxer, all of a sudden he's been trying to throw the weapon of mass destruction, big punch, into his repertoire. The fact that he's out there beating up Drew Gulak to promote the fight that he's got with this boxer, because the boxer's probably only going to show up so many times on TV, is a bit lame. The fact that they used this to bring back Drew Gulak's PowerPoint presentation thing. If I'm umming and ahhing, there's two reasons for that. A, I've only got a bit of scratch notes here and the rest of this is off the top of my head. And B, I don't know what I did to my back, but my back is killing me, so if you see me constantly shuffling around, that's why. If I seem a little out of sorts and a little not quite normal, it's those two reasons that are contributing to that. Tyson Fury, Braun Strowman, it'll be what it's going to be. Now, we had a World Cup last time. It was won by Shane McMahon, who wasn't even in the match. So how do we double down on that? We have the largest tag team turmoil gauntlet match in history to determine the best tag team in the world. And of course, it's going to be won by CM Punk and CM Punk. Because, you know, CM Punk's coming back to WWE, except I can't even pretend to be excited about that announcement because I am not Sean's View Entertainment. We've got the Viking Raiders. We've got Dolph Ziggler and who the fuck is it? Dolph Ziggler and glorious Robert Roode. We got the New Day. New Day does not have Xavier Woods. He tore his Achilles tendon. Apparently he's going to be out for a year. That massively sucks. We've got the Revival. We've got Heavy Machinery. We've got the B Team. We've got the OC. We've got Hawkins and Ryder. We've got the Lucha House Party. Now what I love about this, and it shows WWE's logic a little bit, because there's already a lot of people in this match, but you want to make it look like there's even more people in this match. If you look at any match graphic for this match, the OC is there, all three of them. Even though AJ Styles has a completely different match. New Day, even though Xavier Woods is out, has all three of them on the graphic. Lucha House Party has all three of them in the graphics. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it's just one of those things that you notice and it's just funny. I don't know what they're doing here. I really don't. I want to say that this won't matter, but we said that about the World Cup as well, didn't we? And the World Cup thing ended up being that schmoz where it became Shane McMahon's thing, and then that led to Shane McMahon's heel turn, and that led to a full storyline with The Miz, and then a full storyline with Kevin Owens. Now, I'm not here to say that any of that is great, but the idea is that this will not matter, this will not affect anything because it's a Saudi show and they'll tuck it away as quick as possible, is not quite the case, is it? Now, they could do the easy thing here because there's teams from Raw and SmackDown, because there's no brand split in Saudi Arabia, clearly. They either need to give this to the New Day, because the New Day, as previously announced on SmackDown this week, have a SmackDown Tag Team title shot this coming week on SmackDown, the day after this show, which is going to be... That's weird, isn't it? It's a case of, like, everybody's going to be in Saudi Arabia, come back, and then go right into doing SmackDown the next night. So there's two things that are going to happen here. Either it's going to be the New Day are going to win, and they're going to get momentum. They're going to get momentum into that title shot. It's very strange that in this match, both sets of tag team champions are in there. It's kind of weird that they didn't bother. I mean, obviously, there's no women's matches on the show because it's Saudi Arabia, and I don't even want to touch that hornet's nest. But if they were going to do all the tag teams, why wouldn't they bring the NXT and the NXT UK tag team champions? Is it still the Grizzled Young Veterans in NXT UK? I haven't watched it in a while, but definitely we've still got the Undisputed Era with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are the tag team champions there. Now, they wouldn't win this unless they wanted to give NXT a little bit of a rub, and Saudi Arabia is a really weird place to give NXT the rub, is it not? But either you have to have New Day win this and then have the momentum going into their title shot on SmackDown, or you have to have a Raw team win this, because to have another team that's not the New Day from SmackDown win this, if it's Heavy Machinery, for example, then it doesn't make any sense that the next night New Day gets the title shot, because whoever wins this is the best tag team in the world, so why are they not the champions, or at least the contenders? So, spoiler alert, little bit of a prediction for this one, even though it doesn't really matter. Either the New Day is going to win this, or it's going to be somebody from SmackDown. And I mean, let's be real. Let's look at the bright side. Let's look at the silver lining. Kofi Kingston is back where he belongs. Now, after I just made a really, really shitty joke, made myself sound like a really, really terrible person. I will tell you about the one match that squeezes a little bit of humanity out of my cold, dark heart in this card on this show coming up in Saudi Arabia that I'm probably going to be watching drunk. And that, surprisingly enough, is Cesaro taking on Mansoor. Now, from WWE's point of view, Mansoor is their Saudi guy. He won the Battle Royal and all that sort of thing. So he's got to have a match because they will remember him from the last time. But then again, they don't acknowledge Braun Strowman's green, ugly belt thing. I don't know. But I think at this point, because Mansoor is the guy for these shows, or at least he might be going forward, to have him not have a match would be a little bit weird. And Cesaro is never really put anything special, but when he is brought up because, hey, so-and-so just needs a match, he does deliver, and he constantly reminds you who he is. I'm going to go back to the last NXT UK takeover when he was just there to pick a fight. He was doing the whole Aleister Black pick a fight, except he wasn't doing the over-enunciation thing. He was just there looking for a fight, which is awesome when you can just show up at a pay-per-view. And I'd like to have a fight, please, thank you very much. And he had that match against Ilya Dragunov, who I know nothing about. I had only seen in like 2 matches on the weekly show before that. And he went in there with no real preamble other than, oh, you want to fight? Let's have a fight. And he made Ilya Dragunov look like $1 million. Now, it wasn't a match of the year contender. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it's what Cesaro does. He's the more aggressive, more credible Dolph Ziggler of the main roster, is he not? The reason that this match sort of makes me happy, and sort of the jokes sort of fall away for a second, and I will talk seriously about it, because there's one sad thing that is evident from the Saudi shows and all that, and it is Mansoor. And I like Mansoor. He's been featured very briefly on NXT here and there, and I like watching him in the ring. I find him to be an entertaining dude from the little bit that I've seen. And you go back to the last pay-per-view where they had the big 50-man Battle Royal, and he won. And he got a huge ovation. He got to do it in front of his hometown people, and he's gonna, he gets to have that moment. Because in any other situation, if this deal that people hate with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia wasn't happening, this kid would never have that moment. And that's... People might say, so what, because there's people from all over the world, right? But you know what, like Asuka is from Japan. She can go perform at a house show in Japan, get a hometown pop, and nobody is gonna put a bad stamp on that. You go to the best hometown victory we've had in the past 10 years, which was Money in the Bank 2011, John Cena, CM Punk. Now, there's a million reasons people popped it with that. A, CM Punk was at his apex at that point. B, he was going up against Cena, who everybody hated. C, the symbolism was all there. It was all great. It was, the guy that represented us versus the guy that represented the company, and it was just naturally for the WWE Championship, and there was all kinds of story that went into it, and all kinds of story that went into that reaction. But what solidified it was not only that Chicago is a great wrestling town, from what I've heard. Sorry. But also that he was the hometown boy. The hometown carried him on their verbal backs. And you get somebody like Mansoor who definitely hasn't had the chance to get up to the level that CM Punk was at that night, but also not to have the moment of the night, because any moment that he has that is considered a hometown moment is going to be brushed under the rug because of the controversy of the Saudi Arabia thing, and he could get lost to the ether of wrestling and never really even come to the main stage, which is really, really sad. So when you come to this show that everybody hates on, that everybody, oh, why are you there, and this and that and the next thing, and as I say, if you have your opinions, whatever, about the Saudi deal, I'm not going to debate you. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, because you're probably not. But the one thing that I will take from the shows is that this guy, I shouldn't call him a kid, that's really disrespectful, but that this guy, who I've only got to see very briefly, gets to go out there and have a match in front of his people, and no matter what anybody else says, that's his hometown moment. That's his CM Punk King of the Ring, or not King of the Ring, CM Punk Money in the Bank 2011 in Chicago. This is his version of that. So the one thing, if everything else on this show is absolutely terrible and the show existing is terrible, the one thing that's not terrible is this guy gets to have his hometown moment. And you know what? I'm genuinely happy for the guy. for that, and I think he's going to win. Now, you might say, oh, they're only going to have him win because it keeps the deal with the thing going or whatever. I don't care. I really don't. For this, it's not going to hurt Cesaro. Cesaro's in a shitty spot anyway, but Mansoor is in an even worse spot where he's on the brand that does make people look good and you still don't see him that much. I hope he wins. I hope he wins. Later on, you know, weeks or months later, we can do something with Cesaro. We saw Cesaro on SmackDown this week, and he was in the main event of SmackDown. Now, SmackDown is SmackDown, and it's not that much different from Raw right now, but there's lots and lots of different ways and times and venues and time slots and areas and contexts in which you can fix Cesaro. This is where you give Mansoor, the hometown kid, the hometown moment. And if they don't, they're missing the switch. Doesn't matter, but that's my opinion. Getting back to what I was mentioning earlier, we got Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez, and the cool thing about this, I don't necessarily know that I want to see this match either. Because it's very much the Braun Strowman Tyson Fury thing. It's very much they want to have another Ronda Rousey situation. It's very much, look at us, we're WWE, we do the sports entertainment, but we can be as sporty as UFC, which I don't know why that's even a thing, but whatever. And I have no doubt that these guys will genuinely go in there and beat the crap out of each other. How we've gotten there is kind of weird, because they created a story and then told us later on that they didn't need to create a story because there always was one. Because Cain Velasquez came in kayfabe to stick up for Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic because he's Dominic's godfather. And if that's actually true, then that's cool. If it's not, then we're sort of dragging Rey Mysterio's family through the mud again for reasons other than his kid wants to be a wrestler too, which is kind of, I don't even know. I'm not going to be cheering for Dominic Mysterio. I'm just putting that out there right now. But they did this story where Brock Lesnar came out and just murder-fucked Rey Mysterio and his kid. And Rey Mysterio basically said, yeah, Brock's the man and I can't fight him. My kid can't fight him. My kid got killed. So we got the big guy. Everything that fans have hated about WWE, oh, you can't win unless you're big, the small guys, we got the whole Shorty G thing, which we'll talk about in a minute. But like all the small guy stuff, the CM Punk, the Sami Zayn, the Daniel Bryan, we only push the big guys, we only push The Rock and all this sort of thing. Everything that the fans hate about how WWE thinks of small guys, Rey Mysterio just came out and solidified. Well, I can't fight Brock, he'll kill me, so I got a big friend. That's basically what happened there. But then we take that, and it's like, why did he pick Cain Velasquez? Well, Cain Velasquez is his kid's godfather, first of all. But second of all, Cain Velasquez has beaten up Brock Lesnar. Cain Velasquez put a big scar, and it's kind of effective because they're using a little bit of UFC footage, and it's a little bit raw, and it's a little bit visceral, and it's a little bit really, really effective. You know, he's got the scar on the cheek. He's going to put the scar on the other cheek. They've said that way too many times in promos now. But the thing is, you never needed to do the Rey and Dominic thing. You just could have had him storm onto SmackDown one night and say, look, I fucking kicked your ass in one arena. I'm going to kick your ass in this one too. You just... But by the way, R.I.P. Kofi Kingston's WWE Championship reign. That was not only hilarious, but we didn't even have time to mourn because it's like, sorry kiddo, the big guys are going to fight now. I don't know what this match is going to look like. But I do know that you didn't need to include Rey Mysterio in it. And they built a reason for Rey Mysterio to be in it, as I say, so that Cain Velasquez can have a mouthpiece going up against Brock Lesnar, who has a mouthpiece like Paul Heyman. Now, I will say Rey Mysterio does not give the greatest promos in the world. He leans a little too hard on the family stuff. He leans a little too hard on the, I'm going to start off my promo, but then I'm going to get really, really excited and break off into broken English-Spanish mix. I don't like that so much. I don't like the every promo starts with 5 minutes of thank you to the fans. My family wouldn't be here without you, because I'm sure it is genuine, but there becomes a point where it doesn't sound genuine anymore. And that's not Rey's fault. It's really not. But in this scenario, on the microphone, it's him versus Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's going to win that battle. He just is. Cain Velasquez going in there and getting a flash win over Brock Lesnar would make me laugh my ass off, because it will be another Goldberg-Lesnar situation, because we were all pissed off when they decided to give the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania to Brock Lesnar, and then Brock Lesnar went in there, got murder shagged by Goldberg in Toronto. I was there. I missed the whole match because I looked down at my phone. That's how hilarious that was. Because what it did was it backtracked and it made The Undertaker's streak seem irrelevant. So now what we're going to have is Brock Lesnar came in and basically reminded Kofi Kingston what his place is. And that's going to be made irrelevant if he loses in a flash match against Cain Velasquez. No matter what they do with this, I mean, they're going to be mad that Brock retained, or they're going to be mad that Cain Velasquez won. This is one that's no win, but this is one where I won't be watching the match as much as I'm watching social media, if that makes sense. If you guys know, I've used the example a lot of the Sheamus Daniel Bryan WrestleMania match where he lost in 18 seconds to a boot from Sheamus, and my entertainment wasn't in the show. My entertainment was watching Twitter, watching the Twitter feed of one little Whoopi Goldberg looking twit down in Texas that has a hard-on for Daniel Bryan, losing his mind. Whatever happens in this match, the funny thing about this match is that people are going to lose their minds either way. Oh, just another body for Brock Lesnar, okay, or Cain Velasquez won. Well, we don't want Cain Velasquez here. Well, Cain Velasquez, I will say, don't know anything about him, haven't seen him anywhere else, don't watch UFC, won't claim that I do. But apparently he has signed a 5-year deal with them, so he's going to be around. And apparently he was in Lucha Underground. Somebody told me he did some luchador, like, triple threat or 6-on-6 tag matches or something like that. And he's actually got, like, the whole hood lucha deal. I cannot lie to you guys and deny that I am morbidly curious as to what they do with Cain Velasquez, and if his introduction to the company is going to Saudi Arabia and wiping the floor with Brock Lesnar, that's a push. That's a push. And that means WWE's actually behind you, and he's probably making a redonkulous amount of money, and you know what? At this point in my wrestling life, I can't even be mad at that. I mean, if Vince McMahon brought the wheelbarrow full of money to your house, you wouldn't say no to it. I wouldn't say no to it, for sure. I would love a wheelbarrow full of money. Just give me a wheelbarrow full of nickels. I'll roll them myself. It's fine. So if he's making $1 bajillion to beat up another guy that's making $1 bajillion, fucking good for him. And Rey Mysterio is going to get a Saudi paycheck in a context that doesn't even require him to do anything. So good for him, too. And Paul Heyman's Paul Heyman. It's going to be good. Like I say, I don't think they're going to change the title, but if they did, it'd be really, really interesting. Speaking of titles, oh, the creme de la creme of shitty WWE booking at the moment is what they've done with this Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, Hell in the Cell, let's stop the Hell in the Cell match, because it got too violent. He was going to hit him with a sledgehammer, but Bray Wyatt had already hit him with a bigger sledgehammer. They're basically trying to make up for Hell in the Cell in the worst place possible. We're going to possibly give Bray Wyatt what we should have given him at Hell in the Cell on a stage that most people probably don't even want to talk. It's all bad. They've neutered The Fiend. Seth Rollins just... I don't even know. Like, Seth Rollins needs to take, like, 6 months off, go to some, like, introspective retreat and find a new him. I don't know. I'm a fan of Seth Rollins. That's why I'm sort of laughing and I'm sort of sad, but, like, I don't know how you fix Seth Rollins at this point, and he's your champion. He's the guy that we were happy took the belt, saved the belt from Brock Lesnar back at WrestleMania, and now... Because, remember when we went into WrestleMania, there was 3 things most people... I mean, I wanted Seth, I wanted Becky, most people wanted Seth, Becky, and Kofi. It is what it is. But, like, to go from that, like, oh, he just wiped the floor with Brock Lesnar, and isn't it hilarious? He kicked him in the dick and took the belt, and there we go. That's how we started the show. And now he's just... He's really lame on the show. And off the show, he's on Twitter talking about, you know, he's talking shit about Kenny Omega and getting called a bad guy for it. Well, Kenny Omega talks shit about him and gets cheered for it, but that's AEW fans for you. I don't know how you fix Seth Rollins. I don't think telling, you know, going out publicly and saying he shouldn't be allowed to have Twitter is the answer, because people out there are morons. The people out there that are like, Becky, why don't you show your husband how to use Twitter? Like, that shit's ridiculous, too. I don't know what happens here. because The Fiend is something that everybody adopted. I don't think there's anybody that didn't get sucked into The Fiend at some point. Bray Wyatt was gone for so long, and then there was that one promo where we saw the buzzards come up out of the box, and we thought, what the fuck is this? And then we saw the first Firefly Funhouse, and we thought, what the fuck is this? And then we just saw it, and we saw it come together, we saw the character come together, we saw the ambiance come together, the imagery, that mask from the same guy that does the masks for Slipknot, and then finally the debut at SummerSlam, which I was insanely lucky to have SummerSlam happen in Toronto, where they debuted The Fiend, and the entrance was awesome, and you know, that minute it took you to sort of realize that his music was a remix of the old music, so it was some story there, and he made a lantern out of his old head, like, this is the old me, this is the new me, and he went in there and murdered Finn Balor, who's now being a heel on NXT, which is great. And then you just the Hell in the Cell match would have been great if it ended with him winning. The horror movie stuff of him just like no selling and just getting right back up, having those like Undertaker, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees all rolled into one moments. I mean, there were things you could say that weren't great about the match. Not all the weapon stuff was great. The red light is an odd choice. All that type of stuff. But it would have been good if they didn't do the ending that they did. If he had done what Rollins did to him to Rollins and they called off the match the other way, even that would have been better, because he's so concentrated on being this demonic human being that he cost himself the title. Okay, it still would have been bad, people still would have been upset, but they wouldn't have been as upset as they were at the end of that thing. This is the fix for that. It's Falls Count Anywhere match, which means there's going to be all kinds of shenanigans. People have suggested that they're going to go under the ring and then cut to a pre-taped Firefly Funhouse portion and then come back again. Like, that's been done, but I think that's really strange when they burnt down the Firefly Funhouse and then brought it back this week. But it's a Falls Count Anywhere match, and they have to put in parentheses, the match cannot be stopped for any reason. So, I don't remember who said it, but it was one of the guys from What Culture that says, WWE has gotten to the point now that the selling point for the match is, please watch this match, will actually give you a finish. And that's really bad. Again, nobody wins. Okay, whereas other people are looking at the Lesnar-Velasquez match as a no-win situation, I personally am looking at this as a no-win situation. If Rollins beats him, like he's been doing in the dark matches and at the house shows, people are going to lose their shit. If Wyatt wins, people are going to still be pissed because it's too little, too late, and in the wrong place. You guys know me, I stick up for WWE a lot. Probably when I shouldn't. I can't stick up for them here. I really, really can't. They're going to fall on their sword no matter how they book this match. And I don't have any sympathy for them because they did it to themselves. Speaking of did it to themselves, what I'm assuming is going to be the main event is Team Hogan versus Team Flair, because a month before Survivor Series, let's just do that right now. Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Ali, and Shorty G taking on Orton, Corbin, Lashley, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Drew McIntyre. This is going to be some bullshit. I don't even think it's what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even think it's an elimination. I just think this is a pile of people match. At some point, Ric Flair's going to take his jacket off and stomp on his jacket. At one point, Hulk Hogan's going to rip his shirt, and a bunch of big guys are going to beat up a bunch of little guys, and that's what's going to happen. Team Hogan is probably going to win, and everybody's like, well, you know, they only did this because the Saudi Arabian guys probably wanted a Hogan versus Flair match. And that's probably true. Like I say, keep in mind, they're the ones that asked for Ultimate Warrior and Yokozuna, and that's why we got Hiroki Sumi and one of the Usos in the old Uso paint. Like, I don't know who wins here. I mean, go down the list. Roman Reigns is sort of existing right now because he's not in the main title picture, so he's sort of tolerable, and he's just kind of there. Rusev is getting cucked by his wife and Lashley, which is terrible. That we could continue that bad story, but Lana's not going to be there, is she? Ricochet, Ali, and Shorty G are all tremendous athletes. What the fuck are they doing with Chad Gable? Oh, Jesus Christ. Orton is Orton. That's not going to change. King Corbin, as much as it's corny as hell, is absolutely reveling in this heel king thing that he's got going on. Lashley is absolutely useless. Shinsuke Nakamura has got this great partnership going on with Sami Zayn, who's not going to be there. So, you know, he's just there being the Intercontinental Champion, not defending that championship. And Drew McIntyre, I really want to hope is winning this match. If I was going to pick a winner, everybody's saying it's going to be Hogan because brother Hogan logic. If I got to pick the end of this match, the end of this match happens when everybody piles into the ring. Everybody sort of has their 1 minute. You know that moment where everybody, like, this guy kicks this guy and then gets kicked by this guy and that guy gets kicked by this guy until one guy's left standing? Have a moment like that, and the last shot that's fired is Drew McIntyre hitting a Claymore on Roman Reigns. He wins the best way that he possibly can. I mean, nobody wants Roman to get the win. Even though Roman is slowly winning the fans back, nobody wants to see him win yet. We don't want to see him lose. We don't want to see him buried. But we don't want to see him winning either. So get it down to where everybody else is on the outside somehow, and the match ends, or there's some kind of schmoz, and Hogan and Flair are up on the apron, and there's woos, and there's brothers, and everybody's distracted. Claymore to Roman, give this to Drew, because you really need to push Drew. I'm really surprised that Andrade is not in this match, which is fine. And the other piece of news, and I don't know how true this is or not, but just say it with me and laugh with me, because we've got Hogan, Flair, Lesnar, Velasquez, this boxing thing. Because of all that star power, apparently the Saudi authorities said, no thanks, we don't need Undertaker this time. That pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? I don't know what to say. I've probably been more lackadaisical in this video than I have in a video for you guys in a long time, and it's sort of because I'm formulating my thoughts as I go. I really don't know what to think of the show. I think it's going to be fun. I think I'm going to laugh my ass off at something. There's going to be something that makes me laugh. There's going to be something that pisses other people off so much that it makes me laugh. There's going to be something so dumb that it makes me laugh. Somebody's going to slip on a banana peel. One of the Lucha brothers one of the Lucha House Party, is going to fall off a turnbuckle and land on Otis's belly. Or some stupid thing. Something will happen. And then we get to decide what we do with that going forward. Because then, going forward, we can't really do any stories because we've got to build the Survivor Series. The next time that the individual rosters get to have individual stories will be December. And what's happening in December? I don't know. I think it's TLC. And then the Royal Rumble will get here. And what is happening to all of our lives? We're sitting here in October, and I just took us pretty much to the Royal Rumble and said, hey, eventually we'll get a storyline. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Crown Jewel. It is definitely a show that's going to happen. That's all I got. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
So shine, come a freak like me.